Good evening, and welcome to another disgusting version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your nauseated and sickened voice of Doom. Hello. I'm going to try to do another diatribe. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Technology's getting on my nerves. I've done 6 or 7 of these episodes in the last 2 days, and I've tossed into the trash can every one of them without even listening to some of them because I'm losing it. I don't have it anymore. Whatever glib sarcasm and funny and acerbic commentary I've been doing for the last year and a half, I don't have it anymore. I don't know what's going on. It might be dementia. And it might be I'm just losing interest because everybody's catching up to what I've already said, and I have to kind of stand here and wait for them to catch up. So, I didn't really want to comment on the clash of the Titans and communication and the internet and the media, because every time I start talking about it, I get tongue-tied, and then I lose my train of thought, and I just lose it. Okay. The last week has been dominated. The news has been dominated by Muskie releasing information about how Twitter was compromised by the government on the D side to make sure that certain information was withheld and certain information was promoted. And that's the way they wanted to do it. Now, you have an internet. I was there when it started. I was there when the first telephone receiver went onto that cradle and it connected and dialed up a different computer, and it sent a message saying, "Are you there, Watson?" or whatever. And it was there, and they created the internet, and they created the web. Now it mushroomed. It got big very fast due to pornography. Pornographers built the internet. Gays built the internet. That's the bottom line. First thing that was transmitted between person to person was pornography. And it mushroomed from there until you see what you have now. But in the hubbub of these platforms trying to get a niche and then be dominant, they have had people rise to the top. They have had companies rise to the top. Now Twitter is one of them. Suddenly it became the main source of communication between everyone in the world. Even there's many other places you can put a comment, many other places you can have a conversation or have a chat room, they used to call them. You could go to all kinds of places, but where are you going to be seen? Now you have 8 billion people. They all have phones. I don't care if they're 7 years old and they're in a Congo in a pit digging for cobalt. They still have a phone on them, and they can give their little opinion on whatever's going on. Yes, I'm stuck in a pit in Congo, and I'm 8 years old, and can someone come and get me? Send. So whatever. Everyone can communicate. They want to call out certain communications, and they want to promote other communications to promote their political side, their tribe, their ideology. So we have an internet, billions of places to put your opinion, but they're worried about Twitter. Now, everyone's up in arms Because up until the recent past, the internet has been nicely controlled by the D's and the powers that be, which I'll talk about later, that decided that certain things just can't be said on a public platform because it's disinformation. Now you start getting into that, everyone knows that it's a bottomless pit. You're never going to solve it because someone has to decide what's truth and what's not truth. And then you can have arguments about that. So Muskie says, just let everybody say whatever they want to, as long as they're not overly hateful or overly violent, just let them say what they want. Let them dig their own grave with their opinion. Okay, fine. Freedom of speech. That's a platitude from the Bill of Rights. When they wrote freedom of speech, they had no idea what was coming as far as communication. Now, you can't have freedom of speech. No way. Forget it. Throw it out the door. Because certain people are going to have opinions that are contrary to the powers that be. So we're going to have a clash of the titans. Now, in order to explain how this is coming around, I have to explain the hierarchy of power. Now, you have your B-listers. And your B-listers are usually heads of state. We have a B-lister in the White House, Petri dish. Totally incompetent, corrupt to the bone, totally sold out, compromised to the powers that be, compromised to many different countries. They could bring him down in a heartbeat if they chose to. So he's walking a tightrope. He's out of his mind. All of his policies have been insane. And they continue to be insane. We have a B-lister in the Kremlin who wants to rebuild the old Soviet Union as he remembered it, a big empire that was very much controlling and had many republics in their domain. And he's trying little by little to get pieces of land to rebuild that, but now the Western powers, NATO, are saying, no, we're not going to let that happen. Let's have a war instead. Let's have a proxy war. Let's have the military-industrial continue to pump out weaponry in order to maintain our economy. Now, that's fine. It's always been the way it is. But this person's not going to just scamper away with his tail under his legs and say, I'm wrong. It's going to escalate. We have a B-lister in the People's Republic of what used to be China, and he's insane, and nobody really realizes it because he's the quiet guy. He's the placid, smiling dictator of China, who's more powerful than Mao could ever hope to be. And he's insane because he wants to destroy his country and he'll take everybody down with it. He's one of the most brilliant people in the history of this planet because he got fucked over by his own ideology and he worked his way up from the bottom to become the most powerful person in that country so he could have his revenge. Now you watch what happens. So those are your B-listers. Now you have your A. You have your upper echelons. And I don't know, there's this new guy that's been cropping up, Klaus Schwab. I don't know what to call him. He looks like a Q-tip, so we'll call him Q-tip Schwab. And he's a diabolical, sinister person that you'd see in a cartoon on Saturday morning. One of the head of the chaos. We are going to create a better planet by controlling the climate, and we will implement certain policies in order for people to have a better life. And I don't know how many people are going to be left to have a better life, but he's got a plan. And you got Pockmark, some guy that looks like Jabba the Hutt on a bad day, just when he gets out of bed, Soros. And I don't know, I don't think he's a human being, I don't know what he is, but he doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. And he's trying to undermine the world by little piecemeal measures of getting prosecutors in who don't want to prosecute crime, which lends itself to anarchy, which you've seen it. Crime is out of control. And just obfuscating elections so that the people get in that he wants in. I noticed Warnock won the runoff in Georgia, which I'm not surprised. Warnock is just enough of a derelict and a degenerate to win in that race. He's a D, he's a hypocrite, and he's probably a criminal. I bet you if you scratch the surface, you'll find a few little things he's done wrong. But they all are, so forget that. So then you have your top echelons. Now, the super billionaires have probably been on the same page for the most part. It's like, we'll make things happen on this planet that we need to happen in order to continue our comfort and continue our power. I don't know if they're going to be in fallout shelters, very nice ones, waiting for the dust to clear, or what their plan is, but you have these super billionaires. Now, I can talk about the Bilderberger Club, and I can talk about the Council of Foreign Relations, and I can talk about all these secret societies that have, planned our future. But then you get another super billionaire who builds spaceships and builds electric cars, which isn't a feasible concept right now. And he's a visionary, and he buys a major communications platform and decides to leave it open for anybody to say anything. Just like the border. Anybody can come in with anything. And it's going to create chaos, because that's what we're going to have. You have 8 billion people on this planet. And if they all want to stick their 2 cents in, then we're going to have a mess. There's going to be a lot of people with diverse opinions. And you can parse their words any way you want. I can say all kinds of things that are hateful. And if you have 8 billion people that are putting their 2 cents in, there's going to be some hate. There's going to be a lot of things. Now, who's the arbiter of truth? That would have to be a great person. I would want a Buddha to be in charge of that and say, okay, you can't have this on there because it's wrong. You can't have this on there because it's wrong. But now you have super billionaires that are at odds with each other. The clash of the titans. You have Q-Tip, you have Jabba the Hutt, and then you have other people who will remain nameless. They're probably in a mansion somewhere with a lot of little kids doing unspeakable things such as Tiberius would do in ancient Rome. But that's just a conspiracy thing. And then you have another guy who's going against the grain, who doesn't even want to. I don't think he cares one way or the other whether he's going against the grain. He's just going to let everybody say what they want. So Twitter can go by the wayside, just like the others, and they'll go on to something else. But you have 8 billion people putting their 2 cents in with their phones and their computers. And they might even buy a mic like I do and really get some good stuff out there. And you're going to have a mess. And it'll all work itself out. We'll homogenize. It's the best thing that can happen to this planet. But I'm getting bored with waiting for the conflagration. I know it's going to happen soon. It's obvious. So I think I will actually keep this one. Because I think I said what I wanted to say without getting tongue-tied. And at the very end, as a coda, I will say I'm going to start putting some old diatribes on as reruns. I'm going to repost them because I like some of my old stuff and I think it was sharper then. I think I'm kind of losing it now. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it as often. Not unless something exciting happens. It's very boring right now. You can see us slouching toward the cliff and going over the abyss, but just nothing major, so we'll see what happens. So I'm going to be playing some old diatribes so you can see those, and maybe I get a little comments from some of my fans, because I did some good ones in the past and nobody's paying attention to it. So I'll leave it there. I think I can actually keep this one. I'm so happy because I was starting to think I couldn't do it anymore. So enjoy the night, and thanks.